Vigilante Williamson here on the 85th episode of the Culture Crime Fighters. And I'm joined by my partner in culture crime fighting, none other than the man, the myth, the legend himself, Matt from Foulball Productions. How you doing, man?
I am very well, Vigilante Williamson. I am terrific. Thank you very much for having me here. It's a true honor. I feel blessed. I feel lucky. Do you think, like, when someone says, like, when you ask, hey, how's it going? Oh, I'm so blessed. Like, that's a douchey thing to say.
A little.
A little?
I mean, it's probably a lot, but you just, I don't know. It's like, oh, okay, just walk it off, I guess.
I just think that's such a pretentious thing to say. How you doing? Blessed. Go fuck yourself.
Well, I think it's like a thing, like, because it did become a thing, like in the past 5-7 years. People, I'm blessed.
I think
guess
it's
it
a
is
false
kind of a
sense
douchey
of
thing.
yeah.
But
I think it's just a false sense of, like, enlightenment or inner peace. Like, you're trying to project to the world that you're just, I'm just zen, baby. I'm blessed.
I'm better than you because I'm more spiritually aware or something.
You're such a transparent phony.
I guess sometimes I just take it as just this person just wants to say blessed. I don't know. I know what you mean, but it's like what is it? What am I trying to say? Like, because some people just like, it's just like the person who goes like happy holidays instead of like Merry Christmas. It's just like whatever you want, bro. Just like just whatever, man. Hell,
Hey, Papa. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, we're live. Sorry about the delay, because when you post something like a live stream, like it takes forever for notifications to get out.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Did you notice this new thing that they do on YouTube on your homepage? It now separates your videos from your live streams. Yeah.
Yeah, they noticed that.
So live streams, they go to YouTube to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once they're done, they're done.
Why doesn't YouTube push them though? I don't understand. Like I do to some extent, because it's like, okay, who's gonna watch 4 or 5 hours? But at least push them to the people who are subbed to that content creator. You know what I'm saying?
Are there ads during live streams? Like, if you're watching something live, you don't see ad. You do while it's live?
I watch. You'll see an ad right when you jump on.
Yeah, but that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So they don't make as much money.
You know what? I think they're starting to roll out like ads throughout the stream if you don't
during the stream.
Yeah,
I don't know. If they don't, I would assume that's why YouTube hates it. Probably because also live streams tend to be a lot longer than YouTube videos, right?
True.
So it's a lot more server space, a lot more processing power, and then they make less ad money on it. They're probably like, oh, these fucking live streams.
And toss some more ads in. I don't give a shit. I mean, the people who watch do, but if you watch Twitch and you don't have an ad blocker, you have to deal with ads there. So
yeah, that's true.
Not,
but Twitch doesn't store they delete them.
They store some of it to sometime.
2 weeks and they're gone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, shit, they can just toss ads in this motherfucker.
Yeah,
greedy mother. I mean, to me, that seems like the easiest way. Like, all right, we'll just every 10 minutes of watch time.
10 minutes. Oh my god,
that would suck. But I mean,
that would suck.
But if it's a single ad, I'll deal with it. 10 to 15 minutes, whatever determined time you think, whatever that balance is of getting your ads in so you can pay for the server space and not piss off the client. I just toss out 10 minutes. It can be 15, whatever it is.
Also, I mean, they don't know what you're saying on a live stream, right? Because the algorithms haven't had time to process it. So it's also, they could be monetizing like Alex Jones content or, you know what I mean?
Do that.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, from their perspective, obviously.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
From their perspective.
That's true, but I thought that
it's live, buddy.
No, we're Memorex. This isn't happening. No, but I'm saying it's like don't they have like smart trackers? Remember, everyone got demonetized if they hear a curse word if in the first 10 minutes. I think their AI is pretty savvy for the live stuff.
Yeah, it probably just still doesn't make it monetizable for them, is my point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's got to be a way though, because if it's monetizable for Twitch, and it has to be a way to make it more monetizable for YouTube, and thus not just death.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, that's what's going on. I don't know if that means they kill them. I mean, I know last week's Cocktail Lounge was maybe the lowest rated one in at least a year, maybe longer. I started later though, and we didn't go as long, so that might have something to do with it. But the views,
Maybe.
it's like 100 some odd views. I was like, whoa, it hasn't been that low in a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure either. I don't know. I was given this word. I didn't make it. So
say word, yo. Say word.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Hell, some of the people are hopping on. Brightest day. It's been a long time. Cool to see you.
He popped into the MFR podcast the other day.
Oh, smooth.
Good to see him.
Obviously, Papa Cotton.
Papa.
And Decepticons Cave of Villains. It used to be villains and heroes. Now it's just villains. Man.
Just villains. He's black belt.
Apparently, you're back on Twitter. There you go. Enjoy your now conservative echo chamber. No, it's not.
I don't think I'm shadow banned anymore.
On this platform or on Twitter?
No, I'm definitely on this one. No, but I think on Twitter, I don't think I'm shadow banned anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Because my tweets get like traction. Not all the time, but sometimes, they'll get tractions.
Cool. I mean, you know what? I haven't really gotten back in the habit of trying to use Twitter again. Because I guess I just got mentally get back in it. But no heroes, fuck those dudes.
I do it mostly for promotion, and every once in a while I'll fire out a joke.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, if it's going to be a more viable platform, it's smart to have a presence on it.
Yeah, so that's fun. Yeah, you get some good retweets. I threw out a joke. Remember that she's a 10 but joke that was going around?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's a 10, but she's got her pronouns in her bio.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought that one was pretty funny because I was like looking at like these hot chicks on Instagram, and I was just like, she, her, like just it just takes them down such a significant level. You're like,
that's becoming a whole thing like that. There's like a lot of woke women. How's this gonna play out? Like,
did you just pick up on that?
No,
you just started to connect those dots?
No, I had experiences with these woke bitches and didn't know what the fuck I was dealing with. I got blindsided by a woke bitch. I keep talking about it, but at a fucking WrestleMania party, cute black chick just goes ham because I didn't vote. Just goes nuts, and I'm like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
Had no clue. But no, it's just like now it's like it went from there are woke women to like, no, women are woke. Like
there aren't not woke women.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, no, this is the baseline now. This is the cultural baseline, and that's the difference.
Speaking of that topic, that cultural divide that we're currently living in,
cultural war.
Over the past few weeks, I binged all of Yellowstone.
Okay.
And that's like the anti-woke show for the red states, bro. I will say, yes. Overall, yes. And I think it actually even evolved into that more maturely. Like, in the beginning, there were some things where, like, so there's a character, there's like John Dutton is Kevin Costner. And he's got a few sons, and it's kind of like, it's a bit, someone says it's like a redneck Game of Thrones, and I was like, that's not bad. That's not bad. It's kind of a comparable description. So he's got one son named Casey, who's a war veteran from Afghanistan, and he's married to this Native American woman who, like, at times is insufferable. Just a real pain in the ass. And there were scenes with her she got a university job at the local college or whatever, and buddy, it was like being in one of those woke universities. It was like lecturing, there was like one scene where like they're going to this event and this chick is like taking tickets, is like this 5'11", gorgeous brunette, huge tits with a low cut shirt, and the bad evil white kid in the class was like looking at her tits, and she goes, what the hell are you looking at? And it's like, your giant tits that are on display. Why'd you pick that shirt when you walked out of the house in the morning? Like,
yeah.
To quote Archer, to showcase your intellect? No. So it's like it was just such a ridiculous thing. It's like setting up a bear trap and then like shaming the bear for getting
But that's
caught
the
in
whole
it.
point
It's like,
of that. Now that's another new wave of female behavior that's now standardized. The
no.
hey,
I know.
look at me.
Hold on, but
Okay.
before I don't want to
Okay.
go there. I just want to point out that the show was doing stuff like
Ah.
that. And
Okay.
so there was a few times in the show where also like all of her university lectures were, evil white men. And, you get that like a lot. And it was just kind of like, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know how anti-woke this is. But as the show evolved, there was a character that like was from like San Francisco or Portland or whatever who came to Montana to like protest and boycott these like the cattle farms, which is the cattle ranches, which is where the show basically surrounds for the most part. And she's ultimately made to be like a kind of a villain. Like all of her ideas are made to be kind of absurd and like sort of out of touch. And in this culture of Montana, like they look at New York and LA as kind of the enemy, and they sort of talk shit about them a lot, which I was like, yo, I've not seen that in a show like of this caliber, of this much, this size audience. There's also, I haven't seen any pronoun bullshit. I haven't seen any LGBT bullshit. Like the representation is accurate for where it takes place. Like there doesn't seem to be any of those things that we've seen in most modern entertainment. So I'm gonna have to say, yeah, I co-sign that description of the show.
Is it good?
I do think it's good. I do not think it's the greatest show I've ever seen, mostly because I don't think the writer is patient enough. I think like my favorite shows like, The Wire, The Expanse, The Sopranos, shows like that, they have really well written characters, really fleshed out really fleshed out like settings, right? And this show has both of those. The difference between the shows that I mentioned and this show is that in those other shows, they're very patient with their big explosive events like murders or, shootouts or something tragic that happens. In Yellowstone, they seem to throw that shit at you like every single episode, which just sort of waters down the intensity of those events when they do that. And I think that's the show's biggest flaw. But other than that, yeah, it's really good.
Okay. And I mean, that's just it. That show. This show is a modern show, and now you have a like the modern. Oh, we need a shocking moment for social media. That's like a whole different thought process.
I just think it's really just the creator trusting like the strength of his characters to deal with these events instead of the events being the star of the show. I think he just keeps throwing the events at you. Like in the first season, the main Casey, one of the main characters, John Dutton's son, like there's like a border dispute with the Indian reservation where he like has to kill a guy. Then he like just happens across a meth house that explodes, and then he's got to mercifully kill the guy. Then he comes across like some guys in a van that kidnap some girl, and he has to kill them. And then there was some other shooting. And it was all within like 3 or 4 days of each other. You're like, cheat, like this guy, you know what I mean? He's like a mass murderer, and 2 of those events were random. Like I was just like, all right, like it waters it down. Yes, yeah. But it is still a good show overall. Very good show. Yeah.
Okay.
Recommended.
It's been kind of talked about. Everyone, Yellowstone. So.
It's compelling. There's great characters, and I will say what they do well is that thing that all those people claim that they want are strong female characters. Like, dude, there's one of the strongest. Like his daughter Beth, fucking vicious, man. Hilarious, mean, like vindictive, effective, like great character. But they don't fuck with the gender role shit. Like women are women, men are men. Like some women are powerful, but there's not this like blurred lines. We're trying to redefine gender role. Like that's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot about being a father too.
Huh. You don't see that shit anymore. That's not even allowed. They don't even want fathers in society.
No.
But I had to highlight, man, since you did, you ever see Justified?
No. Is that Timothy Olyphant?
Yep. Harlan County, Kentucky. He's a U.S. Marshal. U.S. Marshal Raylan Givens. It's a badass show, man. It's a badass show. It's just a different. It's almost like if The Wire was in Kentucky to some extent, because it's like each season deals with a different sort of like villain,
yeah,
but different subject with that quote unquote villain, and it expands the universe. It's not quite as good as The Wire, and it has a different vibe, but like that's the closest thing. That's the best description I would give it. It's a good show. I didn't get to do the last season. That's worth a rewatch. So I should probably rewatch. But yeah, it was pretty good.
What network is that?
Oof. I think it came on FX.
FX, okay.
So not
there's
sure.
That other classic FX show, The Shield. I've always wanted to watch.
Yeah,
I've never seen. I heard that's really good.
Yeah, I don't think I watched some of The Shield, and it was like maybe I should try give it another check out. But I was like, it was just too. It felt a bit too much too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where that's kind of a good. You talked about it with what you call it. It's like this cop, like he's just getting into all these crazy situations. It's like, okay, this isn't necessarily plausible.
Yeah, that's my biggest criticism of Yellowstone is it's just too much. Like in the new season, like something happens and you're just like, did that have to happen? Like, why? There's always so much going on. It's like, did you have to throw that in there too? Like it just like not from like a political standpoint, just from like a. Why does every episode have to have something gigantic in it? Like, just, I would like to see the characters. Yeah, and I'd like to see the characters dealing with the repercussions of that. And there was like one storyline that just died on the vine. I was like, why did you even include that? Like, there was this sheriff or like one of the guys. So like John Dutton's got this office called Livestock Agent. So it's basically like a made up law enforcement agent so that he can kind of enforce the rule of law to protect his ranch. And then there's like one of his agents finds like a girl like on one of the rodeos or whatever who's beaten up by these two hands. So he takes it upon himself to like put these guys in the back of a horse trailer, drive them around, to, teach them a lesson so that they fall over, knock each other, just get knocked out and hurt so that they won't beat up this girl again. Well, he accidentally kills them. And then they're like, what'd you do? And he gets arrested. And then the lawyer, Jamie, comes to bail him out, explains the story, what he's going to say. And then that was it. That was the end of the story. It's the last they ever mentioned it. You're just like, why did you even include that? That lasted like 5 minutes of screen time and there was no repercussions. So like, why did we have that moment?
So you could be shocking. A twist.
Honestly, I really think it was just to like, so that someone died this episode. It's just like, you don't need to do that every single episode. There's enough great writing and compelling, and it is absolutely beautiful too. Like Montana is gorgeous. So yeah, that's my only real criticism of the show is that, and then a few like the college lectures every once in a while. Where you're like, oh, shut up. But other than that,
well, shit. At least you don't have to deal with that every day like actual college students and have given up your entire life in debt just for the privilege to do so. So
I did at one point.
Yeah.
I went to stupid college.
Yeah, I went to college, but I didn't have to. I just used what I could with the Pell Grant. When that ran out, I stopped going. Didn't go into debt. Apparently, I'm not the only one who likes Justified. Check out Justified.
Yeah, keep seeing that in the chat. I'll check it out. Yeah,
apparently The Shield is good. I thought The Shield had that, but if I remember correctly, because I think I like saw parts of it throughout, and then saw the like series finale, just because it was like a big deal. And I think it did tie a bunch of shit in, even stuff from the first episode. Can y'all fill me in the Shield? People who have watched The Shield.
I've heard it described as a perfect show, like start to finish.
Yeah, I've heard that too, but I feel like when I saw it, because it started like, what, 2000s? This is like an early 2000s show, right? And then it went on to like...
It was one of the first ones of those shows that was like, chronological and gritty and grounded and rough.
Yeah. I feel like it was like 2000s to like 2009 or 10. So it did go a while.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And who's in that? Walton Goggins? That's where he got his start?
Yeah, and what's the man? Vic Mackey.
Yeah.
What's his name?
From,
the main guy.
Yeah, the thing.
Yeah. I forgot what his real name.
Michael Chiklis.
Michael Chiklis. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see Lord Thoth not liking it, being a law enforcement guy, because it's like, wow, way to shit all over us. They can see like crazy, kind of like, but those corrupt cops exist. Corrupt cops in big cities exist.
It's funny. I was thinking about Thoth yesterday, actually, because I was watching one of the most recent episodes of Yellowstone. And I guess because the Montana borders Canada, they were chasing these horse thieves. And there's like a river right there. And all these Canadian mounted police like met them on the other side of the river. And they had like some jabs back and forth at each other. And I was like, oh, that's like Lord Thoth.
Yeah. Shout out to Lord Thoth.
Shouts to Thothy.
And Central Ditto said wasn't all perfect, but it's written very well.
Okay.
And he likes Yellowstone too. Okay.
It's a good show. It's a good show. It's very compelling. I'll say, even though like my criticism, it makes you really want to watch it. It's got like a soap opera vibe. Like you just really want to get to the next like story beat and story and see where it goes.
I'm just glad there's entertainment still like that, because I thought all would be lost, and that there's still something that people comes out and people, oh yeah, I like it. Cool.
I like it too because it's set like in this, this sort of Western like rodeos and ranches like environment that to me is exotic. Like,
yeah. Wow, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That like rural areas have become exotic to us as like humans because we're just so used to cities and shit.
Yeah. I mean, I spent my entire life in either a suburb or a city. Yeah. And so it's like I never lived on a ranch. I don't know cowboys. So, but it was, it's but it's also kind of alluring too. It has like an interest, like a subculture to it that's pretty fascinating. Like, yeah. So it takes place in like West Texas too, like on these Texas ranches. There's a great character, Jimmy. Jimmy's probably my favorite character. He's like this. He was like a meth head, kind of like strung out loser that's given a chance to go to the ranch and like kind of give himself his last chance, and to watch him like deal with that last chance and be like a terrible cowboy, but he's super empathetic. Like you really really like him, you really root for him, and he's got a great journey, and I think his arc lasts like 4 seasons, and it's really good. Like it's very compelling.
How many seasons is it?
It's in the 5th right now.
Okay. Oh man, damn. I think with that pandemic, it just like took so many years away. It's like, damn, I thought Yellowstone just came out. Like, no, they're 5 seasons in, because 2019 is 4 years ago now. So yeah.
I don't think they promote it very much. I don't think I would imagine Hollywood hates it.
Yeah, probably.
Because it doesn't play any of their like checkbox bullshit.
Yeah, and what network is it on? Is it Paramount?
Paramount.
So that's kind of that's not even a big streaming service.
Well, weirdly enough, you can't actually watch the show on Paramount Plus. You have to watch it on Peacock.
Really? That's
some
weird
licensing issue, I'm sure.
Maybe they sold the show out or something like that.
Who knows? I have no idea why.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we didn't shit on the show. How about that? We talked about modern entertainment without shitting on it.
Well, yeah. I mean, that like when we were shitting on it, Senshin Dildo was saying to watch that show. He's like, watch Yellowstone. Like he kept like driving it into our heads. So I finally did.
Don't say Senshin Dildo. Don't do anything to imply Senshin Dildo being like close to correct on anything.
I'm just saying, like, I got to give him credit where credit's due.
No, you don't.
All right, fine, fuck him.
There we go. Now we love you, Senshin Dildo. He hits on shit though. He's up on shit. So
yeah, well, credit. But it is kind of like that. It's a shift in perspective, right? Like it's just instead of finding things to hate or hate watching things to make content out of it, it's just kind of like, or just don't participate in that and watch things that actually are good. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I really genuinely am. Like I'm just trying to find things that I'm interested in and not get too caught up in like what sucks and what doesn't. Like I'm replaying the Half-Life series right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Dope.
It's sick. Did you ever play Black Mesa?
A little bit, because my brother had it, but I didn't really play through the whole thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like because the original Half-Life now, like if I went back and played like the vanilla version, it's not very difficult. Like I've played it through so many times. Yeah, like it's not going to be hard for me to beat it. But this Black Mesa's got like a higher difficulty, and it's fucking rough. And it's like, And then they redesigned a lot of levels and added things. So like it's the same, but it's also just different enough to keep it like really entertaining and novel.
So like a remaster sort of thing.
Yeah. And the biggest contribution is the final level, like Zen. You know, like when you're in that like outer space, like kind of weird woo-ah world, you know? You remember that?
Yeah.
That is so much expanded on. It's like complete. There's so much more, and all these new puzzles and stuff like that. Like I'm right now. I'm at the giant swinging testicle monster. Do you remember that thing?
Yeah, and apparently so does Spec Link's laptop. He's working on a Half-Life and Black Mesa vids.
Hell yeah, dude! I will send them to me when you do them. I'll check them out for sure, bro. Yeah, they're great. Like it's so much entertainment, and I've been actually deep in like Half-Life lore videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
you're getting back into the whole thing because it did have a crazy little lore.
The lore is insane. Like
it'll never be finished. Talk about George R. R. Martin.
I know, but the implications of like what the Combine is and all the different things, like you know how between Half-Life 1 and 2, those like aliens are like one's like in Half-Life 1 they're your enemies, but in Half-Life 2 they're your friends. Those like Vortigaunts. Well, that's because they were enslaved.
Oh, like, shit.
In Half-Life 1, if you look closely at the character models, they have like collars on their hands and neck. They have like slave collars. So they're being controlled by the Combine. And the Combine is like this world-eating, like universe-consuming, like hegemony, like this horrific, just awful, going from planet to planet, just destroying, milking all their resources. Like, I didn't even really put together some of the things like in Half-Life 2, like when you're on that ocean thing, like with the one that's kind of like ocean side, when you're going with the antlions and you're like hopping from rock to rock, like there's all those boats that are like on their side and stuff. That's because the Combine's draining the oceans.
Oh shit! So there's like all sorts of. Yeah, Trinoculus P says WEF. I don't know. I guess it does give you that type of vibe, right? But geesh,
yeah.
So yes, that's the whole Valve thing that kind of like well thought out, not always presented, but their sort of way of storytelling.
Yeah. And Portal has a lot of that too. Like apparently, like the events of Portal and Portal 2 kind of, or at least Portal 1, like got an overlap with like Half-Life.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, like the Resonance Cascade is supposed to happen like right at the end of Portal 1. So like it's so fat. Like it was just so interesting. There's just so much complex like implications and like the way that they would keep people down. Like some of these YouTubers did some great research, like with all those soldiers in City 17 that you kill. Well, they kind of imply that all those people, like basically their families are being kept somewhere, and if you don't do your job, they'll kill your family. So like all those soldiers that you killed, essentially their families got killed because they failed.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, and that's why they keep coming, because it's like they have no choice. They literally need to complete this goal or their family will be killed.
That's brutal as shit.
Isn't that fucked up? And they like
so dark. Jesus.
I know. And like when you meet all the people in City 17, like when you first get there, what they're implying is that all these people are always broken up and moved to different cities so that you have no connection with anyone and you can never plan any kind of uprising. So it's like you just, everywhere you go, then you're around a bunch of new people again, and you have no personal belongings, and everything you have is given to you by the Combine. And like sometimes they'll just randomly wipe out a building. Like it's just so fucked up.
Sounds like our future. Yeah. CCP. That's that. Not predictive programming, but just whatever it is, the dark future that could be or maybe.
Well, do you think it's a coincidence that they set it kind of like in an Eastern European setting, like when you first get to City 17?
Probably not. No.
Probably not, man.
Not with everything else, with the little detail.
Yeah.
Hello, Snorted Poopus.
What up, doggy?
Yeah, it is rough when reality is comparable to old sci-fi. I mean, we all talk about like Brand New World or 1984 or shit like that, but there's other depictions of a terrible future. It's funny, somebody said WEF. It is, does sound like some global evil organization plan of the future, right?
Dude, I mean, the COVID shit that's going on in China right now is terrifying.
This whole coof stuff, I don't know, we can say COVID, I guess. But like, it's still fucking crazy. Yeah, man. It's like it's it really bothered like the whole jab thing. Like that whole thing really fucking happened where they forced people to get this jab, and now we have people dropping like fucking flies. I saw this fucking football player who had like a stroke. He's 31, plays I want to say for the Panthers, and it's believed he got the jab, and it's like all over this. Just the fact that this is like normal now, and that there are still countries like you said, China. I heard even Canada is trying to bring back restrictions.
But China's like dystopic. Like China's like if you're out of the house, like everyone has to have like an app on their phone. It's like your COVID status. And like if you like are out and like your COVID status turns to yellow or red or whatever, like you can't go. Like you can't spend any of your own money. You can't you can't ride public transportation. So people just get stranded like outside away from their home and they can't go home.
What?
Yeah. And they're like locking people like in their house, like and like their COVID status, like it'll be yellow, like in their house, and then they'll stick their hand out the window and it'll turn red. Like it's like that much of a lockdown. Yeah, they've been like people. There was a building that burned down because they locked people in. They all died.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. Like China is not fucking around, and it's really, really scary.
And as bright as day says, China's the model. Jesus.
As we learned, remember?
Yeah, man.
Remember we learned that from fucking Dr. Drew. He said that those doctors took all their cues from the Chinese.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we through this entertainment shit, we talked about how much China's just involved with everything. They're involved with school systems. They're involved with obviously entertainment, and they're involved with a lot of policymakers here. Still, you know what I mean. Still to this day.
Buying up land. All those Chinese investors buying up land in America.
Oh, yep. That too. That's scary shit, man. There's nothing what's scary is there's no means of combating it or checking it. It's just going to happen, and we're just going to watch, and there's nothing we can do. Like
maybe we should start like adopting some of like Japanese, laws, like where you can't buy property unless you're naturalized Japanese. You know.
I mean, shit. I wish you could, but you think this political climate, something like that, would ever pass?
No, it never happened.
Not even in a trillion years.
And it can't happen because that's just not our model. You know, we embrace everyone from all over.
Plus, it's so much foreign money as far as foreign businesses and buying land. You want, that's I don't want to say a loophole in capitalism, but it's like, hey, money goes further. So,
yeah, I mean, at least. It's a central theme in the whole Yellowstone thing is land ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's the entire point. He's trying to protect this giant ranch that he has. That's the center of the show, and everyone's trying to take it from like the Native Americans to the government to private corporations. Like everyone just keeps trying to take his land, and he just keeps trying to fight them off. Which is like property ownership is like one of the cornerstones of being an American. I mean, that's
right?
one of the biggest things. Yeah,
one of the cornerstones of freedom in general is to be able to own land, own property. Shit, when I did live close to a rural area. And like I say rural, but like it really wasn't just a small city, but right outside of it, it's like farms and shit. And I had a friend, and like he had some land, and that was the first time I had been like in an actual rural, like neighbors are a mile down the street area. And I was like, wow, this shit seems like the coolest shit ever to have, like a couple acres, and it's all fucking yours, right?
Did you hear? Did you happen to catch the cocktail lounge the other night?
I did not.
Well, wow, Ruben's got big plans.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, somebody I think said something. What is he like?
He's got a homestead, I guess.
Oh no, yeah, like what was it, compacted earth or something like that.
Which
off the grid home.
He's gonna do all by himself. He's also gonna write a fantasy novel series. He's also gonna produce movies. He's also gonna invent. Hereto unforeseen technologies that have to do with energy.
Somebody did it once, he can do it again. Hey, you gotta shoot for the star moon, at least you land amongst the stars, which is not technically true at all because the moon is way close to the earth than stars. You actually land in a void of black space, and it's probably not a good thing. But it's the thought that counts. It's like, hey, you aim high, even if you miss, you'll still be in a good place.
We also learned that low spec's actually like a kind of like a homesteader. Like he was like building an off the grid sort of house. It was pretty interesting. Like because we were giving Ruben a bunch of shit because everything seemed like a little far fetched.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like Ruben, like, come on, man, you gonna do all these things at once? He's like, yep. You're like, all right.
Gotta have that spirit. Shit.
I guess so. You can also bite off way more than you can chew. I mean, one thing at a time.
Something I'm pretty good at myself.
Yeah, just like do one thing at a time. Like I'm not saying you can't do all these things, but you got to focus. You got to focus your energies. But he believes in it. But low spec, like I guess he was doing all that stuff, ran out of money, but had like a lot of insight into this stuff and being like, it is possible, and I guess it is more affordable than you'd think. Yeah, but it was. I mean, he did have some answers. Like I'm just like, he's like, you're gonna build a house. He's like, yep. I'm like, so you know how to do plumbing and electrical? He's like, I'm gonna Google it. I was like, you're gonna what? And then so I'm like, we went through this how to build a house thing, like a standard,
Yeah.
But then he's like, no, I'm doing this whole thing like compact earth or whatever, which is basically just like soil walls, but like really compacted. And like I was like, okay. And then we looked up some examples, and they didn't look so bad. I feel like it's a lot more work than he's giving it credit for. Otherwise, why would people not do that all the time?
Yeah.
But it was pretty fascinating.
Yeah. I remember at one point I was looking at what the fuck, shipping container homes and shit. But it seemed like it was more expensive than a home, and you're in a fucking shipping container. Yeah, he researched it for a whole week. There you go.
A whole week.
Yep. Week and a half, maybe.
I do wish him credit. I do wish him luck.
Expert.
Ruben says some wild stuff, you know.
Gotta have some ambition, right?
Yeah, I mean the whole show, the whole last hour of the cocktail lounge basically just became like coming up with the conspiracy theory that Ruben was actually a Bigfoot working for a foreign alien civilization that's trying to invade and take back Earth for the big feet.
Maybe. You never know.
It was hilarious. I kind of snapped because I sort of like it's just dealing with like Ruben and his conspiracy theories and all his bullshit all the time. I was just like, my brain just went to such a weird place, and I was just making up more and more conspiracy theories about what Ruben was up to, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. What if you're on to something and it turns out he is a Bigfoot from an alien race?
I think he is. He's got like a size 16 foot or something.
And he was using, the cocktail lounge to spread his message. He wanted to start small.
I said, you heard it here first. Bigfoot, spaceships, liberal media, guys.
Exactly. See, now we got it all figured out. Got it all figured out.
Did you know that journalist in Qatar that was wearing that like gay pride shirt that wouldn't get into the game like died suddenly?
Whoa! What?
Did you not hear that?
No, I did not hear that.
Okay, so this guy Grant Wall.
Oh, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy? So, American journalist Grant Wall dies after collapsing at Qatar World Cup.
Don't tell me.
This is on Saturday.
Yeah.
Prominent American journalist Grant Wall has died in Qatar after collapsing while covering the World Cup, sparking an outpouring of shock and grief across the sports world. He was 49. Wow. He, quote, collapsed while covering Friday's Argentina-Netherlands match, a witness told CNN. Qatar's World Cup organizers said that on Saturday that Wall fell ill in the press area where he received immediate medical treatment on site. He was then transferred to Hamad General Hospital, said a spokesperson for the Supreme Court Committee for Delivery and Legacy, the body responsible for the planning tournament. I like how CNN said spokesperson. Very, very progressive. Way to go, CNN. You're very good.
I didn't even notice that.
But look, this is the guy with that shirt. And it was a story.
Yeah, it was a big story. I think I even talked a little bit about it. I said the security guard probably did him a favor. He probably wasn't going to make it out of that building doing that shit there, man.
What the hell are you? Why are you poking the bear?
Yeah, man. Like, are you serious? Are you fucking serious, bro? I would not do that. But, sheesh, man. Do they say any, thoughts on the potential cause or what they think it is? Cause I think we all of our heads kind of went in the same place when you see
How could you not? That was a coincidence?
Especially when you seeing that shirt, you know what his politics is, so you know what he did. You know what he did. We all know.
And like in Qatar, like I don't know if it's Qatar, but I know some of those Middle Eastern countries, they have no problem just throwing gay people off of roofs. They're like they'll murder you for being gay.
Yes.
So this guy comes in there and basically insults their country, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, you know, yes, queen, like inclusion, blah, blah, blah. Like in a country that's like anti that, which, you know, you got to be honest, is a pretty bold move. That's pretty brave.
Stunning and brave?
It's stupid and brave, but it is brave.
Well, sheesh, man.
But yeah, so let me see if there's anything in here. But I don't think they're pointing any fingers, but I think everyone's curious.
Well, I was thinking, is it a jab thing? Is it a stab thing? Like, what is it? Like, you know what I mean? Is it a like, hey? Because I felt like, man, if the whole thing was, oh, the security was wrong for letting them in. They're supposed to be progressive. It's like, no, listen, bro. They would have let him into that building with a bunch of like, was it 60, 70,000 soccer fans, all of a specific background and of a specific beliefs towards this group. He'd had a struggle to make it out alive. So that guy probably saved his life. Or just at least, and then outside of that, just don't, that's their culture. You deal with it, man. I don't know what to tell you. You can't go over someone else's house and push your shit on everyone.
I don't really think that's the place to make a stand.
Yeah.
You know, you're a foreigner from, you know, coming into their country. They hate your way of life, and then you're going to be like, well, we're the best. So, no, pretty stupid. But it is really suspicious that guy just fell ill. Like, governments do have ways of killing you that do not appear to look like murder.
I thought I was a conspiracy theorist.
It's not a conspiracy theory. It's something that they do. Like the CIA does it. There's all these there's all these examples of like them like during the Cold War, like taking out like, you know, whether it be spies or, you know, foreign people that like they want to take out during a war. Like it's not a conspiracy theory. That's all like open, free knowledge.
Yeah, it is documented. In the 70s, they had a fucking debriefing of some of the, I think they had like a dart gun that can cause a heart attack and all sorts of shit.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So it's like the idea that maybe they slipped him some sort of like fatal virus or like some sort of bacteria or some untraceable technology that they developed that could kill somebody. I wouldn't doubt that for a second.
Man, you can't play around with other people's culture, man. You just can't. We're the culture crime fighting.
Okay, you shouldn't. But if they're killing Americans, we do need to be concerned with that. You can't just kill our citizens.
No, you can't. But like, don't fuck around, don't find out, sort of thing, too, man.
No. Like I said, I understand. I think it's stupid, but still, that doesn't give them the right to kill our citizens.
No, it doesn't. You're right. Shit, I'm thinking of fucking like, are you gonna start international incident over this guy? And I'm like, well, they did over a fucking WNBA player, handed him a fucking Marvel supervillain. But that's another can of worms for another day. I guess we do need to find out what the fuck happened, like for real, like that, because like you're right, you can't just, oh well, you just killed one of our citizens. Cool, congrats, enjoy. We're just gonna go about our lives. Man, there's also like you just gotta make like life is like a boxing match. Protect yourself at all times. You can't put yourself in positions to get murked. There's like that. That's my thing. Like you're not wrong. There's something to be said about personal responsibility and logic. And this is like somebody's politics literally may have allegedly caused their demise in one way or another. Because even if something didn't happen, well, what's the next most likely thing? Oh, well, he got a certain medical procedure and now he's having a backlash. So that still is like, hey, your politics are more than likely the reason you're not here anymore.
It could be. He could have died of natural causes. I just find that hard to believe. It's kind of like the idea, the whole Epstein thing, the fact that like,
yeah, right.
Very suspiciously, he hung himself, and then their cameras went out, and the guards weren't there. You're like, that's a lot of coincidences to happen at one time. When it does seem the most logical answer is that he was murked. Like it seems way more logical. Like it's not even.
Razor,
exactly. 100%. Like it makes more sense that was the conclusion. Like it's like it sounds nefarious, but it still tracks better than the alternative.
Yeah. Here's a non-Westoid perspective. It's a non-Westoid. I can tell you there's nothing more infuriating than Westoids coming to your countries and telling you how you should live.
Agreed.
I can imagine.
We don't like it here.
Right?
We hate it when foreigners like talk shit about us or like try to tell. It's like I hate that shit. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, yeah.
But I will
I do
say,
too.
he said something. What do you say? Agree. Should have been given 20 lashes tops. I would be totally fine if he had to receive some kind of a punishment. You know what I mean, for breaking their laws and insulting their country. I'd be okay with that. Like even if it is something barbaric, like getting whipped, but getting killed is a different story.
What are their laws though? Don't they? Is that? I don't know Qatar's laws like that. Yeah, laws in other countries aren't our laws. Go. Shh. Is it a legal death sentence to do something like that? If it is, man, you again, bro. You're not like, don't fuck around, don't find out, and it sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be a cold asshole, but I'm just trying to say like, hey, man. This is something that Western code. This is why we need to appreciate. As much as I'm not go whole America, you do gotta appreciate the West to some extent, man. You know what I'm saying? And all these motherfuckers, we've switched positions. Now, sound the wig not conservative, but all these motherfuckers want to shit on America. America's bad. It's so bad. Oh, okay, well, you go to another country trying that shit. Things go around. Okay, the Brittany Griner thing still.
That was the thing. I mean, that was why people were kind of like, I mean, you fuck around and found out, like you talked all this shit, now you want us to bail you out. It's kind of hypocritical.
And guess what? Other motherfuckers who aren't infamous, famous, whatever she is, are just in some other jail in some other country because they made a mistake. There's a lot of people go to, party in some other country, get caught with drugs or some shit, and they're like, oh, you're in jail for 30 years, bro. And that's just what it is because you're not in America anymore. And this guy, he wanted to be, it sucks. It's fucked up. I'm not saying this is cool, but it's not LGBTQ, every place ain't LGBTQ friendly. So
I do think like if he killed someone there and then they gave him the death penalty, I'd be like, I mean, that's, you made that decision. So is this that far from that? I mean, I think yes, but at the same time, it's their laws. So
yeah,
what are you supposed to do? Like tell them not to enforce their laws on you?
Yeah.
Is yours special?
Apparently this
is the guy. But there was no court process. There was no due process. So it does seem like they just killed him. Yeah. If that's what happened, allegedly. I don't know.
And again, I don't want to sound like a cold sociopath. Oh, well, you should just. But that's fucked up if they did. Obviously, that's unacceptable to kill somebody over their beliefs. That's not an acceptable thing, and that's why free speech and all this other stuff is actually important. Because, like, I don't know that we're going to find out definitively what happened. I don't know. I think it's just like this is what's going to happen to him. And man, this is why enforcing those rules here and not becoming a country where wearing a t-shirt can get you murked and just that's it and don't nobody know what happened to you. That's important, man. So, and Fish Chozo, if you're just joining us, yeah. So we're talking about I don't know if you followed the story, but there was a guy, the World Cup is in Qatar, and there was a guy a few weeks ago, a week ago, who had like this rainbow LGBTQ friendly shirt, and he was trying to get into the World Cup. He's a journalist, and they didn't let him in because of the shirt. That they don't really mess with the LGBTQ out there, obviously. And now he's dead mysteriously, and we don't know why. So it's like the theory is somebody may have murked him. So we don't know. We don't know.
I do think it's interesting with this whole thing, though, watching, like, because it's the World Cup, right? So, like, the whole world's focused on it. It is interesting to see, all these people who talk shit about the West and how intolerant they are and how oppressive they are. Now to see a country that is genuinely intolerant, like, being on the main stage. I wonder, I mean, I know it probably won't, but I wonder if some people kind of be like, oh, maybe we were going a little hard on the West,
You would think, but
it's logical. If you're a logically thinking person, you should do that. But those people aren't logical.
No, they're not. Because they're not going to look at it from that perspective. They're going to look at it like, oh no, we should basically culturally colonize them. You know what I mean? Why aren't they like us? You know what I mean? Maybe it's the monkeypox jab. That's what I'm saying. The jab, the jab is also a high possibility.
Could be the jab. And like I said, you know what? I guess I'd have a little bit more empathy for it if there was a due process involved.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like if there was like this is what the courts decided had to be, you'd probably still disagree with it. But the fact is, if they just wiped him out because they made the country look bad, or they just don't like his beliefs, then we as Americans should look into that. Our government should look into that.
I agree with that.
We can't just let them wipe out people that they don't like.
Yeah.
That didn't even necessarily break a law. It's like, all right, well.
Yeah, that's 100% true. That's 100% true.
Yeah, you can't just wipe out our people.
So we'll see. We'll see if we find out. Or the politics of another person who died suddenly. Maybe they like, oh, well, what if it's on us? And who knows, man?
Who knows, indeed.
Who knows? That's why, hey, don't fuck around. You'll never find out, man. As cold as it sounds, in this,
good boy.
It's a cold world, man. You got to know. Hey, if you go to LA and you just wear any type of color, you might have a problem. It sucks. It's fucked up. It's crazy, but it's also true. So you have to be conscious of that.
Agreed. Have you been paying attention to any of the Twitter files coming out?
Somewhat of the. I've heard a lot of COVID stuff, and that kind of was like, man, just to see it made me so angry. Like just to see it in writing and seeing how just all this misinformation was literally pushed by our government and all the destruction that was caused. Just like I knew it, but seeing all this stuff confirmed does still make me angry.
See, I didn't see that one. I kind of like tapped out of the Twitter files only because like the first one I was really focused on, like I guess it was a little over a week ago, and I read them all, and it was first of all it was kind of tedious to read them all because of the way the tweets were coming out, and it was hard to find the whole thread and like where was one and wait what happened to 7. It was like this whole thing, so I just kind of was like waiting to just get like a summation of all those. But I was going to talk about the Trump one, but I didn't. What happened with the Koof one? I didn't know what happened with the.
Let me see if I can find that. It was just a similar thing. How the information. I don't want to misspeak because I'm bad at.
What up, Ryan Roger Athay? Hello, sir.
Hell, Ryan Roger Athay.
What up, doggy?
So, it's just the shadow banning things that were against the narrative for COVID.
They have hard proof of it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't go die hard into it. You know what I mean? Read through everything. I just saw that was a thing. There's like a Fox News. There's a few things of it. Okay. And I just was like, and I start thinking of shit. You remember? I still don't know if I could say it. Iverson, I guess, to use a nickname, and how that was unallowed. Can you say?
Oh yeah, Iverson. Yeah, Iverson. I get you.
Yeah, shout out to Iverson. He did nothing wrong, but no. But that that we have to use code words that was unallowed. It was a horse tranquilizer, all this other bullshit. It's like, yeah, no, you weren't crazy. That was the thing too. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
I know it's like trying to fight the ocean, but it does frustrate me that like I feel the establishment, or at least like not even the establishment, but the zealots of the establishment aren't going to change their perspective from learning this shit. That's what's so frustrating. It's like, here's what we were saying. It was happening. And you're like, oh, you guys are crazy right-wing conspiracy theorists. Then there's proof. And I don't see anyone's mea culpa.
I'd like to think that there's people, maybe not in the mainstream, like decision makers, like you're not going to see some leftist talking head of any,
AOC is not going to walk it back. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But that there were people who are on, normal people who see this and say, oh man, I was wrong.
That'd be cool.
At a personal level. I hope so. That's all you can hope for, right?
But you know what? I feel like if I went to talk to my mom about it, God bless her, I don't think she would. And I don't think any of like her friends. I just can't imagine.
No, they probably wouldn't.
Learning from this, it's a frustrating thing to me because it's like you need to be involved intellectually in the whole thing to kind of analyze it and see that there's a lot of bullshit going on here. But then it's like most people just get the very watered down version at the end. Mm-hmm. and they're not going to get this information, and you have to go try to find it. You know what I mean? You have to be kind of tapped into either the news or Twitter or what the conversation is to really see what the cutting edge of this conversation is. So I guess, it's like, once again, I'm not trying to save people. I'm not trying to convert people, but it would be nice to see a few people be like, shit, I guess I was fucking wrong. Like, that would be nice to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. But I don't, hopefully there are just some normies who like saw that and like, oh man, I should have, not listened. Yeah, that's all you can hope for. If there's normies that question the media a little bit more, question the narrative a little bit more, that's a positive thing. But yeah, I don't think even a tweener is going to walk it back. You know what I mean? Because even wasn't your boy, I don't know if he's your boy, Ben Shapiro, wasn't he pro jab?
Big time.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, he was.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I do wonder about it. Every once in a while, I do wonder if he's
a fit.
Yeah, or like controlled opposition, or like he's the one where I do wonder, because there are certain things
at least not genuine at best.
There's things where I'm like, I don't know about that. You just kind of do wonder. There are things that I don't know, but the thing is also I don't care. Like Ben Shapiro doesn't really influence my brain, so I don't really give a shit.
Yeah,
some of his people I find interesting, but only to a point. Like. Even like what Matt Walsh, like his "What Is a Woman" documentary. Yeah,
you see that? Oh yeah, because you had the Daily Wire thing.
Oh, that's right. I still have that. I would need to cancel it. God,
hurry up. Give Ben Shapiro more money.
I don't even care. I just don't want to spend the money. I just like for something I'm not using.
Yeah,
I have to remind myself to cancel that stupid service. But then also like when he was on Rogan, he did a really good talking about the "What Is a Woman" thing. But then apparently, like for the next, because I didn't see this part, but I guess for like an hour and a half, him and what's it called? Rogan just debated like the merits of gay marriage for a long time.
Like,
which is just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, and you know what, man? I don't really like. Listen, I've watched Matt Walsh's videos. He just comes off like such a douche, man. He just has that douchey fucking vibe. It's like, I'm not watching your content, man. I don't know if you're right or wrong. I'm just not gonna watch a douche talk down to me.
And that's the thing about all of them. Like Candace Owens too, where it's just kind of like that documentary was pretty interesting. Like she uncovered some good stuff, but like still, I'm only in for her like 60% maybe. And even that's a lot. Like it's just kind of like eventually all those Daily Wire people, I'm just kind of like I've actually in fact like kind of lost like a degree of reverence for Peterson for being on Daily Wire.
Really? I thought he was your boy.
I like him. I don't think he's my boy, but I do like I liked him, especially when he was on Rogan, when he was like a pop intellectual. I thought it was great. And I still respect him, but for me, I find him, oh, you're here? I find that less interesting.
Yeah. Well, shit, another thing is like that's also a part of like the wave, because like it or not, Daily Wire has established himself as like one of the definitive conservative platform. So then being associated with them, he may not consider himself a conservative, but he, you know what I mean, for the intents and purposes of the way the culture conversation is spoken about, he basically is. So he's basically catering and fortifying his own audience when he does that. I know I'm talking, that's the thing. You're right. It probably is eye rolling, but it's like a brand thing. It's like fucking Madonna being on MTV and hosting the show. You know what I'm saying? It's the same sort of fucking thing, just with old middle-aged conservatives.
But I think the power of JP was that he reached more than just conservatives. He reached people like men in particular that had issues in their lives, had questions, had real challenges that were not being addressed or respected on a cultural level. So I thought he had a great impact. He also is extremely articulate in combating like the ideology that is so infectious and so widespread that I just thought he was a very effective voice in the conversation in general. But if like you go over to Daily Wire, I really think you weaken the ability to reach the middle, which is the most important group to reach.
Look at you sounding like me. I feel like I've converted you I'm converting people to radical middle.
When the hell was I a conservative? As long as you've known me, I've never ever claimed to
Chat.
be a conservative.
Since your dildo. No, I mean you've because we've even joked calling you liberal. I mean I think we both are pretty balanced.
Yeah, fucking Jake D and like all the boomers that we stream with, they all look at me like I'm like the house liberal. So I don't I don't think.
Sometimes out here I feel like you I don't know if it's been like an unintentional thing or like Teddy Atlas says a silent contract. Sometimes it could get you could be a little house conservative here and maybe I go house liberal. I don't know.
Zax, I literally just subscribed it to watch the Candace Owens stuff. It's the only reason I did it. I don't care. Like, I'm not part of a movement.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not a conservative. Like, even just to label yourself a conservative, I just think that you become a little douchier.
Right. I think labeling yourself politically in general is kind of douchey, right?
Yeah.
Especially specific labels. Like, I'm a something conservative or liberal. No, get out of here, bro.
It's also mentally weak, I think, because then I think it kind of makes people's make up your opinions for you.
Yeah, and man, Loki out of Avengers is right. People want to be ruled. People want someone to do all the work for them.
It's
a lot easier.
Yeah, you're just like, what do we think about this? Okay, I've fallen into that. I've fallen into that with content.
I got a fandom ministry. Of course, I fell into that shit.
Yeah, I fell into it. We all hate Black Panther, right? Okay, great. It's lame. It's super lame, but it happens.
Yeah.
Trying not to do it anymore.
Yeah. But you know what? It is human nature, man. It's human nature to kind of group up and, protect whatever tribe you've become a part of, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's what humans have done on some level the entire time we've been on this planet. And now we're doing it ideologically, that's the new rub. We used to do it like geographically and culturally. And now it's completely ideologically. And that's the brave new world we find ourselves in.
Yeah. It's but it's also like you're kind of forced to do it. Like, it's weird for me to be like in a really liberal city with ideas that are not aligned with those people, because I think like part of the reason people move to these little enclaves is to be around like-minded people, so they don't have to deal with those differences, or we get more tribal because it's more comfortable, which is it's a weird existence. It's weird.
Well, shit. The real weird thing for me with the political divide is like, there's a geographical element of it, not just liberal cities, but cities are liberal. And it's like, well, because Charlotte's liberal. Charlotte is in North Carolina on the border of North and South Carolina. And
Charlotte's liberal.
Liberal as fuck.
All I had to do was get off out of the car, and you see like the murals, and you see, and I'm just like, oh, okay, here we are. Like, a lot of those cities, it was Raleigh. They reminded me of Austin.
Right?
Yeah.
North Carolina, South Carolina, Texas. You know what I mean? These aren't conservative states, but these cities are. You know what I'm saying?
They are conservative states.
I mean, these are conservative states, but these cities are. I've been saying these aren't liberal states, but the cities are. You got it right. But yeah. That's what I mean. So like,
California's actually kind of like that a little bit. Like, outside of the cities, it's more conservative. Like when I grew up, I spent time in this town called Moore Park, which is like maybe an hour outside of LA. So if you just go towards the coast, it's this little suburb. And when I was living there, this was during the second Obama election, and all I saw were Romney everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but it's still like that population is so much less than LA or San Francisco or Sacramento, any of those cities.
And Houston is mixed. I'm technically not in Houston proper, but like in my neighborhood, I saw a Beto O'Rourke sign. But at the Walmart down the street when I first got here, there were people complaining about Biden. So it's like it is directly like same geographical area. It's real mixed because this is not quite Houston. So it's like you go a little bit outside and you kind of in farm, like kind of get a little more rural. So it's a little bit more conservative.
But I still think numerically they vote left Houston.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with Senja Dodo here. I'm sorry, but after this COVID shit, if you didn't at least become a libertarian, there's something wrong with your thinking. Here.
Yes.
Here.
Even the Libertarian Party themselves are shitty. Because that's why I think I lean. I mean, I would say if I have to put a label, I've jokingly said Ripitarian. But yeah, I would say I have a libertarian leaning.
Yeah, me too. But that's also like the pretension of that I don't like about the Austinites is like they're very fine to embrace the freedoms that living in a conservative state afford them, but they'll still, rally against like all the right wing things and this, that, and the other. It's like, well, then go fucking live in California if it's so goddamn great, buddy. Go live in Portland. If you think like all their ideas are right, then why are you here? Why are you in right wing Texas? Ugh.
Yeah, a lot of them probably came from California and Portland because they voted those places into shitholes.
But even the people that have been here, they're all like anti, like right wing stuff. They all think, oh, Governor Abbott, like, they hate it all. So it's just so weird. It's, we talked to Austinites. They're like, oh yeah, we shut down for COVID for like a few weeks and that was it. Like it wasn't like, it was nothing like what it was in these other states. And you're like, yeah, do you know what party was pushing that? The one that you claim is the liberation of society.
Yeah.
Idiot. But yet you're happily to take the benefits when it doesn't hurt you. It's like, you fucking hypocrite.
They want all the benefits and none of the problems, just like everyone else.
Office Girl says commies are scarier than any conservative. It depends, man. Right now they are.
Yeah, they're pushing something more dangerous this moment. I've always said that. But
in Qatar, where they kill people if you're gay, like that's pretty conservative.
Yeah,
that's pretty scary.
Yeah, man.
Crazy you can't hold a woman's hand in public or they'll chop it off. Like that's pretty fucking scary,
nuts.
Man.
Right? Yeah, Lee. That's nuts. Jeez, like
Indonesia, I think, just passed a law that you can't, like a law where you can't have extramarital sex.
Whoa. There's a lot of countries with those type of laws too. There's not just Indonesia. One of those other Southeastern Asian countries have it. I want to say the Philippines or something, and it's like a scam out there. So like, what'll happen is, basically, guys just pimp out their wives, and now that you fuck their wives, like you can go to jail. So they extort the shit out of you.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's a scam.
Yeah, man. You're thinking, oh, this cute Filipina girl's like, nah, bro, we taking everything you got, or you're not leaving.
Yeah, she might not even be a girl, so
that's another thing.
Watch yourself.
His homeboy, man. You don't know what's going on, man. It's crazy.
How much time you got today, Vitch?
A little bit. I'm going a little long, but I got a little time.
Okay, because there's just the thing that I was going to bring up about the Trump Twitter thing.
Oh yeah.
So the headline from the New York Post is that there was a furious debate, and I think that means in Twitter.
Really?
Which was pretty interesting to me. I was like, there was a debate about that? Like, that's pretty curious. And I think actually some of the Twitter files revealed that a lot of this was that there was more in-house debate than you would have expected.
Well, that's positive to see that. Because sometimes we can just have nightmarish views of all these companies. They're all just crazy leftists at the radical. Like, well, there's human beings there. There's too many people there for a few human beings to not be there. You know what I mean? Not to say that if you're in the left, you're not a human being. If you're radical, I'm not sure. But if you're just, left leaning, obviously. But no, there's going to be some sort of pushback to some of this.
Yeah, I mean, there were people like during the with the Hunter Biden laptop thing that there was people at Twitter who were like, I'm not entirely sure if we should be silencing this story. Like there was like people kind of pushing back on, like it wasn't like we all think the same thing. Like there was a little bit more like nuance inside the company than I think was perceived.
Yeah,
or how would we know? But
yeah, we wouldn't know. But I mean, we would even give credit for it because I think we do think of Twitter and a lot of these platforms like, oh, they all just think the same. They're all part of the download. Apparently, it's not so much, which is hopeful to have some hope, right?
All right. So the fifth installment in the bombshell Twitter files revealed Monday that staffers inside the social media giant pushed for former President Donald Trump to be barred following last year's Capitol riot, despite the company finding no policy violations in the former president's tweets. Trump, 76, banned from Twitter, 2 days at blah, blah. According to journalist Barry Weiss, Trump tweeted twice on the morning of the 8th, once to praise the almost 75 million Americans who voted for him in the election and proclaim they will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form. In a second tweet, Trump announced he would not attend Biden's inauguration on January 20th. Blah. Okay, whatever. Get to the story. Now I'm starting to wonder if there is a story. Because when they bury it. Extraordinary circumstances. However, according to Weiss, the people in charge of determining whether the former president's post merited a ban saw nothing wrong with either message. I think we'd have a hard time saying this is incitement, wrote one official. It's pretty clear he's saying the American patriots are the ones who voted for him and not the terrorists, blah, blah. Maybe because I am from China, I deeply understand how censorship can destroy the public conversation. Dude, that's pretty based. I understand this fear, but I also think it's important to understand that censorship by a government is very different than censorship of a government. The First Amendment in the United States and similar legislation in other countries with similar concepts exist specifically to prevent the government from silencing the people. I respect that, but realistically, we impose far stricter rules on effectively everyone else on the platform.
I don't know if I agree with that.
No, I agree. I don't. Oh, you have ISIS as a fucking Twitter account. Shut up.
Right.
We started restricting his tweets when they became a threat to democracy. And seemed like that was our red line. Yesterday, he clearly attempted to overthrow our democratic system of government and showed no signs of remorse. If this is not a clear reason to suspend him, I'm not sure what would be. What?
That's not what happened. The 6 was a psyop. That's another can of worms. But I'm sick of that phrase being used, like censor. That's logic of we need to censor people to save our democracy.
That's like the most bullshit thing, and the left has taken that so up recently. It's ridiculous.
Jesus, man. The way
going on that. They do that with the voting rights thing, too.
Yeah.
It's just like, there's no such thing as voting rights. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they talk about, like, voting rights. What means, like, you don't have to have ID to vote. It's like, how is that a voting right? I don't understand. Like, you need a license for so many things to live in this world. Like, why would that one be one that you don't have to identify yourself for?
I mean, we all know the answer to that, but it's like...
Right? It's like it's the only conclusion you could draw. What other conclusion could you draw?
It was crazy to me. It's like, I think the restrictions should be higher for voting, honestly, because... Eric July, to go back to Ripitarianism, he'll talk about how he doesn't think democracy works. And man, I'm starting to see his light because all these people get to vote. There's no real restriction on get to vote. All these people that hate you, all these people that disagree with you, all these people that don't know how to tie their fucking shoes. There are people who don't know how to wipe their ass and they still get the right to vote. It's like,
yeah, but most of them don't.
That's true. That's the only saving grace. Is that most people don't fucking vote.
Most people don't vote. But the thing is, we're not a democracy. We're a republic.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the point is, like, the system was designed to not be just a pure mob rule democracy.
Yeah, the idea of a republic is that the representatives actually make the votes. But look how well that went down itself.
I just don't. The only reason I would think you wouldn't want people to authenticate their votes is because you want to rig the election. I can't really see any other conclusion. You're like, oh, it excludes poor people. It's like, are you saying poor people can't get a license? Like, how do they have a job?
Right.
How could you, if you're that poor, how do you get benefits from a fucking welfare office without a license?
Yeah, how could you do any of this stuff?
How can you live in this society without any kind of identification? I do not believe you.
We're not in 15 anything anymore. So yeah, you do need.
It's like $50 for 5 years or something like that. Are you seriously saying, like, then you could get, like, the government also, there's government programs to subsidize poor people getting, like, license. Like, there's no excuse to not have identification in this country. I do not believe you.
Most people do have identification.
I agree.
Like, that's the thing. It's a bullshit argument. It's
bullshit.
I hate that they get away with so many these like arguments like that, where they could just say something without having to back it up, and like there's no pushback on it, and there's no like, wait a second, because
all of their arguments always have some mythical group of people that are being, like, oppressed or left out. It's always this, like, they always have this idea of a poor people who can't take time off work to da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, well, how do they have a job? How do they have a job? If they have no time to take off work to get a license, how do they even have a job?
Yeah.
How? You can't get a job in this country, a legal job, without identification. It's impossible. You have to have one for your tax records. Whenever you fill out a W-2, you have to have multiple forms of ID to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have your birth certificate and your social security, or your social security and a license and a passport. You need to have all these things. Like, I don't know who this person you're talking about is, and I guarantee you, I've never filled out for welfare, but I guarantee you, if you do, you probably have to have a fucking license. So who are these poor people who do not have a license that you're just desperately trying to protect their voting rights?
They can't exist. There's no way they can't exist, because society doesn't work like that, and reality doesn't work like that.
They're lying.
But the thing is, they know people wouldn't, because people don't vote. It's just that other restriction would limit. Less people would probably vote, because it's like, I don't even feel like doing that. I don't like this shit anyway. And so that's the I guess, I don't know if this is a counter argument, but it is probably a reality. I think less people would vote, just because voting is a hassle anyway, and a lot of people don't feel like fucking doing it. And anything added to make it just one step difficult is going to turn a lot of people off, just because, fuck it.
Oh, well, then your vote doesn't get counted. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm cool with that. I'm cool with what you just, like, okay, if you don't want to vote, you don't want to go down and get your voting ID. Shit, because I'm not voting. So shit, I don't really give a shit about this voting shit. I've thrown my hands up.
I voted, but I mean, the only election that mattered really was the mayoral one.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't even a Republican on the ballot. There wasn't one Republican for fucking mayor of Austin.
You should have ran. Next time you run.
Fuck that.
The mayor.
Fuck that. No, thank you. I am way too bullheaded to be a politician.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want you to get clapped
fuck
up.
Themselves, and you know what I mean? Be like calling people cucks and commies. No way, dude. I'd be fucking gone. I'd get arrested. No way.
You might win just off the strength of the controversy, though.
Austin voted 75% Democrat.
Well, they didn't have a choice. They had.
No, I mean for governor.
Oh. Because they haven't had you to rile them up.
Yeah, they've been so receptive to my arguments thus far.
Mayor Matt, yeah. Fuck the Honorable Matt. Yeah.
Increased police funding would be my first fucking thing.
Yeah, they'll love you.
Dude, people get shot on 6th Street like every week.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, it's a tourist destination, and people are getting shot.
Jeez.
And there's so many cops down there too. Like they shut down the road. There's barricades. Somehow people are still getting shot every week.
It's getting, I think, worse everywhere, man.
Yeah, it's contentious time to be alive.
Yeah, man.
Let me read a little bit more of this, because I know you got to go. But I am curious. I'm just curious about the internal debate. I find that fascinating.
Oh yeah. Keep going until we find it. Yeah.
Don't see any incitement angle here, a second monitor agreed, while policy official Anika Navroli concurred. I'm also not seeing clear or coded incitement in the Trump tweet. I'll respond in the elections channel and say our team has assessed and found no violations. The internal messages reveal that the push to ban Trump was not universal amongst Twitter's rank and file, with one staffer warning her colleagues on January 7th, maybe because I'm from China. Okay, yeah. In response, the worker was told, I understand this. Okay, we just read this whole thing. A second respondent wrote that Trump clearly attempted to overthrow our democratic system. Okay, we just read this whole thing. Trump's Weiss, a former editor and writer at the Wall Street Journal and New York Times, who now runs a Substack called The Free Press, is one of the 3 independent journalists given access to Twitter's internal messages. On Saturday, writer Michael Schellenberger outlined how Twitter staffers pushed for policy changes to bar Trump after the riot, which was blamed for the deaths of 5 people. Details of Twitter actions and policies under Primus regime have made public on... Okay, there's not really much here, but other than just the fact that there was some pushback internally.
Yeah.
Which is... kind of refreshing, to be honest.
It is refreshing. It is refreshing. You know what it actually is also indicative of? How echo chambery we can be in thinking that all these places and everything is just uniformly radical left. It's like we got fear-mongered ourselves into that. Not that it mattered. It didn't matter, right? We got shadow banned, and there was a lot of good reason to think, okay, these platforms are wholly left. But I felt like part of it has been this fear, like society's all they're turning all radical left. It's like, no, there's some people who said, wait a second, this might be a step too far. Normal people exist.
I guess you just look at the results, you just look at like the conclusions, right? You're just like, well, I mean, what else can I do but base it on the results that I see? It's not my fault I'm drawing that conclusion. Like,
oh no, that's true. But I guess it's like I'm always worried about the kind of dehumanization thing.
Yeah, sure.
And so that's the whole thing of like, oh man, the dehumanization, because there's a lot of people who operate as if everyone who's not a part of, some form of anti-leftist conservative thinking is just like, if they're not with us, they're against us sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's like, that's not always the case. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it definitely is. Especially when we talk about higher ups, but there's normal people that do exist. Because it's very easy to, what do they say? Take the exceptions and they go viral, and those extreme exceptions kind of cloud your judgment of what something actually is or isn't.
I want to see, Senjito says, bro, the ego in that tweet, only the real patriots voted for me. I don't know what's funny about that. I don't see the joke, sir.
Oh, yeah, because only real patriots, Trump, MAGA, 2024.
Damn right.
Bro, there was somebody in my old apartment complex in Charlotte. I felt so bad. He had that fucking Trump, like 2020 banner outside of his balcony for a long time after the election. For a long time. And then sometime in January, February, he took it down. I felt his defeatedness in taking it down. Like, I wanted him to keep it up. It was the only one I saw. And it's just like he had it up. And eventually, I think after, I can't tell you when, he just eventually took it down. Like,
oh. Yeah, word. Anything else on the show today, my friend?
Nope. And I should probably start to get out of here. So.
Alrighty. I don't think I have anything else. No. Right. MFR podcast Wednesday live again.
All right.
Which is super fun. I did try to reach out to some guests. Did get no response, which did hurt my feelings quite a bit. They were big YouTubers, though. Actually, I reached out to some of those guys who were doing the Half-Life lore videos because they were so interesting. I just wanted to talk to them about that shit. Yeah.
That'd be
fascinating. Cool. Yeah, I know, but they're pretty big YouTubers. I feel like, they're not going to stoop down to this lowly YouTuber.
Just ask. We got a lot of big names on our show.
It's true.
No, a lot of names that we like, damn, it was way out of our league. But
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, man. I appreciate everyone who showed up. All the people in the chat. We got a live episode. I know you guys talk about live. You guys interacted. Everyone here, love you all. So if you like the video or the stream, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share, subscribe, please do that. And even if you don't do any of these things, hails the government, easy bugs, get the jab. No, if you don't do any of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Have a good afternoon, good rest of your day, good evening, and God bless. We'll talk to you guys later.
Peace out.